hidden history of the paperclip, unclipping the myths and mechanics behind the humble clip. Hey there. Ever looked at a paperclip and thought, wow, this thing is a legend in disguise? I mean, we've all used paperclips, tossed them aside when they're spring open, repurposed them as earbuds for your AirPods, or maybe even spotted one in a meme. But have you ever stopped to wonder how such a simple object became a global staple? Buckle up, because in today's episode of Things You Should Think About, we're diving head first into the hidden history of the paperclip. Spoiler, it's not just about holding papers together. The pre-era of the paperclip, how did people even function? Let's start with a question that might seem obvious. Before the paperclip, how did people keep their paperwork in check? If you're imaging a dusty office file with chaos, you're not far off. Back in the 1800s, folk used a variety of methods to fasten loose sheets. The most common, needles and thread, or pins, or just a string, all of which were, let's be honest, far from user-friendly. Needles had a tendency to tear and puncture fingers. Pins, especially those with sharp heads, were a menace to anyone using them. And string, well, who has time to tie knots all day? The 19th century, in fact, saw the rise of something called paper fasteners, which were basically bent wires that held documents together, but they had a problem. They poked a lot. This is where our unsung hero, the paperclip, starts to make waves. By the late 1800s, people began experimenting with looped wire designs to avoid the sharp ends. The goal, a fastener that was efficient, painless, and reusable. And thus, the modern paperclip journey began. The invention, who, what, when, and a little bit of whoa. Now, here's where things get interesting. You might assume the paperclip was invented by some genius inventor with a lab coat and a dramatic backstory. But surprise, it was invented in at least 7 different countries by multiple people around the same time. Let's break it down. In 1889, an Englishman named William Middlebrook patented a looped paperclip in the UK. Patent 25,999. He called it a staple. Not an understatement, but okay. In 1900, the United States saw the Hall brothers, Edward and John, patent a similar design, patent 647,510. Their vision was a bent wire with 2 loops. Then came Johannes G.T. Anderson from Sweden in 1901, who coined the term clips, which eventually became clip. Anderson also designed the now familiar gem style, a single twisted loop we know today. But here's the kicker. None of these inventors were the original creators. Earlier versions of loop wire fasteners existed in the 1870s, but their designs were clumsy or didn't hold up under stress. The real breakthrough came when engineers realized that A double loop created a more even pressure on the papers, preventing them from slipping out. The Great Paperclip War, and a World War II side quest. Fast forward to the early 20th century, and the paperclip began mass production. But here's where politics entered the equation. The Swedish gem clip, patented in the UK by a British steel company named Gem Manufacturing, became the standard design due to its durability and simplicity. However, the UK's gem company tried to monopolize the market, which led to a tussle with the American wire paperclip company, Q, the Great Paperclip War of 1906. But let's pivot to a more dramatic chapter. World War II. Here's the legend. During the German occupation of Norway, the Norwegian resistance used paperclips as symbols of solidarity. It supposedly represented the phrase, "We shall not be broken." Workers pinned a paperclip on their lapels were subtle signs of patriotism. Wait, is this true? The story is a mix of myth and fact. While the tale of the paperclip as a resistance symbol is widely told, historians argue it lacks concrete evidence. However, it's plausible that Norwegians used the simple clip in small acts of defiance. After all, Johannes Stang, a Norwegian minister in the 1930s, gave a speech in 1932 where he referenced a paperclip. When talking about holding a nation together, the word caught on, and by the 1940s, the clip had become a symbol of resilience in Scandinavian folklore. So, was it a war symbol? Maybe not widely documented, but the narrative's persistence is what makes it part of the paperclip's hidden history. The design revolution. Why this loop equals perfection. You probably think the paperclip is a design classic, and you'd be right. Let's geek out for a sec. The modern paperclip uses a toroidal spring shape. That's fancy term for donut-shaped coil. This design allows even pressure distribution and no sharp edges. Unlike earlier designs that relied on bending wires into jagged shapes, the double-loop clip can hold papers without damaging them. But let's talk materials. The first paper clips were made from steel wire, which was bent and shaped by hand. Mass production came when zinc-coated steel was introduced, making clips rust-resistant and affordable. Today you can find paper clips in plastic, titanium, and even organic materials. Curious about the science behind it? Engineers say the paperclip shape gives it maximum holding power with minimal material. In fact, a study by the Journal of Applied Physics once calculated that a standard paperclip can hold up to 100 grams of paper before snapping. Talk about a force multiplier. Paperclips in the digital age, from email attachments to pop culture. Let's circle back to the 2000s. Picture this. You're at a friend's house, and they open up their laptop to email you a document. They click attach, and there it is. a paperclip icon appears. Why? In the age of scanners and digital folders, does the paperclip still haunt our screens? The answer lies with Microsoft. In 1997, Microsoft introduced Clippy, the infamous office assistant who looked like a cartoon paperclip. "Hey, Bill," he'd say, trying to help with your Word docs. While Clippy became notoriously unpopular, yes, even inspiring a memorial website, the paperclip icon is still a staple for email attachments. But the clip's journey into pop culture doesn't stop there. It's become a symbol of utility and minimalism. You'll see it in minimalist art installations, the 40,000 paperclip wall at the Museum of Modern Art, internet memes. When you find half your missing paperwork in one clip, oddly specific humor. If you've ever seen a TikTok video where someone makes a necklace from paperclips, I see you. Debunking the myths, facts versus fibs. Let's clear the air. The paperclip has its share of urban legends, so let's tackle a few. Number 1, the Norwegians used paperclips during World War II as a resistance symbol. Possible but unverified. While the story is lovely, there's no concrete evidence it happened widely. However, it's not entirely a myth, as some anecdotal accounts exist. The paperclip was invented during World War II. Big nope. Most designs predate the war by nearly 40 years. All paperclips are the same. Heck no. There are over 200 types of paperclips, from the standard gem to the clothespin style, and even giant decorative versions used in crafts. Why the paperclip matters, a symbol of simplicity. So, why should we care about the history of a humble paperclip? Because it's a testament to human innovation. Let's think about it. The paperclip is designed to be inexpensive, accessible, and universally useful. It's a tool that doesn't require batteries, assembly, or marketing. Just a loop of wire that does one job perfectly. In a world obsessed with disruption and upgrading, the paperclip reminds us that simplicity is its own kind of genius. It also shows how everyday items can carry stories of resilience, rebellion, and even hope. The paperclip's legacy. Next time you grab a paperclip, take a moment to appreciate the centuries of ingenuity behind it. It's not just a fastener, it's a cultural icon, a design marvel, and a quiet hero of the office world. And who knows, maybe one day someone will write a podcast about your everyday object. Thank you for listening to The Things You Should Think About. If you want a deeper dive into this Clippy story, drop a comment below and let us know your favorite use of paperclips. Yes, we're curious about the weird ones too. Until next time, stay curious and watch where you step. Some of us still drop paperclips.